Hello and welcome to Farkham. My name's Lucy and in this episode I'm doing something totally different. I'm painting a miniature version of me. Yes, that's right, a miniature me ready to stroll around Farkham. Last year at the NEC I stopped by the Modelu stand. They've got this clever setup. You walk inside, you stand still for a few seconds, then your entire likeness is captured on the screen. A couple of weeks later, a miniature version of me arrived in the post. And I'll honestly say the quality of the print is outstanding. But I'll honestly admit, it took me a while to build up the courage to paint it. So onto the workbench. Here's what you'll need. Something to mix paint in, something to hold the figure, a fine paintbrush, a choice of paints, some thinners, and of course a bit of patience. The first job is to separate the figure from the sprue. I use a thin pair of tweezers to gently break it apart. Then I glued the figure to a length of plastic with a dab of super glue. This just makes handling it much easier. Next, I mixed up some black with thinners and some white with thinners so they're ready to go. I gave the whole figure a coat of black with the airbrush. Then I sprayed white from above only. This picks out the highlights naturally. You could do this by hand with a brush if you don't have an airbrush, but I like the speed and effect that it gives. Now for the fun part, the colour. With figures, you start with the innermost parts. I began with the jeans, a nice solid blue. Always wet the brush with a little thinners before dipping it into the paint. Several coats later, we're looking good. Next came the skin tones. I used War Paint's Barbarian Flesh for the hands and face. Blonde hair was tricky. The Simpsons would have you believe it's yellow, but in reality, not so much. I started with a yellow base, then layered Ammo MIG yellow grey over the top. And you know what? I'm pretty pleased with the result. The hoodie was next. I went with a nice bright yellow, which I thought would add a bit of life to my rather pasty complexion. The carrier bag got the same yellow-grey treatment, and thanks to the highlights and shadowed layers, it looks just about right. For the boots, I chose a mid-brown, simple but effective. Finally, I dry brushed white across the whole figure to enhance the highlights. The trick is to dip a stiff brush into the paint, wipe most of it off on a paper towel and test it on your gloves. That way, you know you've got the right amount before you touch the figure. And there it is, a tiny version of me, ready to roam the streets of Farkham. No doubt getting into mischief, cursing at other residents, and probably spending far too much time down the railway inn. Yeah, okay, the days before children. This was my first time at painting a figure, and I have to say, it's addictive. I'll definitely be doing some more, so thanks for watching and I'll see you next time in Farkham. The trick... I'm going to burp. Pardon me. Finally, off man, you get this right, you off.